UN priorities for 2023. End conflicts with a new agenda for peace. Citing the inalienable right to peace under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UN Secretary-General Antonio has called for a new agenda for peace through multilateral diplomacy to end conflicts. From the Russia-led Ukraine war and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict to violence in Myanmar and Haiti. He said the Universal Declaration, proclaimed in 1948, provides a roadmap out of the dead end, marked by conflicts without any prospects for peace.
The Russian invasion of Ukraine is inflicting untold suffering on the Ukrainian people with profound global implications.
Guterres said in an address to the UN General Assembly to begin activities in the new year.
The prospects for peace keep diminishing. The chances of further escalation and bloodshed keep growing. I fear the world is not sleepwalking into a wider war. I fear it's doing so with its eyes wide open. But the world needs peace, and peace in line with the United Nations Charter and international law.
Guterres said the proposed new agenda for peace will revitalize multilateral action for a world in transition and a new era of geostrategic competition, and will seek to address all forms and domains of threats, old and new. He said disarmament and arms control issues should return to the center of diplomacy to reduce strategic threats from nuclear arms and work for their ultimate elimination.
Nuclear-armed countries must renounce the first use of these unconscionable weapons. In fact, they must renounce any use, anytime, anywhere. The so-called tactical use of nuclear weapons is an absurdity. We are at the highest risk in decades of a nuclear war that could start by accident or design. And we need to end the threat posed by 13,000 nuclear weapons held in arsenals around the world.
Guterres urged government leaders to show up at the Sustainable Development Goals Summit in September, when the 193-nation UN General Assembly will hold its annual meetings. He pointed out that the ambitious program has not met its deadlines at halfway to 2030. The General Assembly has scheduled a summit of the least developed countries in March to boost progress ahead of the SDG summit in September. Topping the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are eliminating poverty and hunger and providing education for all. He urged developed countries to ensure that developing economies have the liquidity to fund investments in quality education, universal healthcare and pandemic preparedness, decent work and social protection. He called on the 20 richest countries to agree to stimulus programs to support countries in the global south. The UN will hold a water summit from March 22 to 24 to develop a bold water action agenda that would bring a clean, healthy and sustainable environment to all. Action on oceans means new partnerships and tougher efforts to tackle marine pollution, end overfishing, safeguard marine biodiversity, and more, Guterres said. The UN will hold its climate summit in the United Arab Emirates in December.
Excellencies, we must focus on two urgent priorities: cutting emissions and achieving climate justice. Global emissions must be halved this decade, and that means far more ambitious action to cut carbon pollution by speeding up the shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy, especially in G20 countries, and decarbonizing highest emitting industrial sectors like steel, cement, shipping and aviation. It means delivering.
Guterres reminded developed countries to deliver on commitments to provide $100 billion to developing countries, so they can adapt to new climate-related technology, and deliver on the Loss and Damage Fund, agreed at last year's COP in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. The United Nations will also hold the Commission on the Status of Women in March. This year's priority theme: Innovation and Technological Change, and Education in the Digital Age for Achieving Gender Equality, and the Empowerment of All Women and Girls.